Hello, everyone, and welcome to the RC Playing Lab podcast. I'm Ron.
Oh, I'm Tom.
Boy, somebody's out of practice. And I'm Dave.
I was wondering, I just heard gear up, gear down. I was like, what is this?
My bad. Sorry.
So that's kind of giving away a little bit of what we're planning on talking about today is we did get an email from somebody asking about Switch assignments and setups and all that kind of stuff.
Protocol and
we're going to talk a little bit about that. But first, Tommy's back.
Hey.
Well, I shouldn't say back.
Woo.
Tommy's on here again. We are trying a little different setup than last time. I don't know how well this is going to work, but we're going to give her a go.
We're going to give her the old college try.
And so if you want Tommy back, you're just going to put up with this for a few months.
Deal with it. It's this or nothing, and this is better than nothing.
And we love having Tommy back.
I mean, yes.
It feels good to be back, actually. Well,
as close as back as we can be.
Guys again. Yeah.
Yeah. So
anyway,
yeah, we'll see how this goes audio wise. We did get Tommy a new microphone, and it has done a good job of preventing us from cutting out when we talk over each other. So Tommy can interrupt me more easily now.
I think it was more the board than the microphone, but either way.
Well, yeah, there was no way to plug the microphone into the computer when the ones you have or for the board. But anyway, so you sound a little bit different this time, though, because there is a little...
Is it sexier?
No.
Would you say I sound sexier?
Has it been
smarter?
Has it been that
long?
I
sound smarter?
No, you sound...
I say, do we need to bring Laura in on this?
You sound crackly. You sound more witchy, like a Halloween witch with a crackly voice and cackle. Yeah.
Okay. I'll take it.
So, I mean, if you're into witches and stuff, maybe you do sound sexy. I don't know.
I mean... there's probably people out there that's into that. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
people are into a lot of stuff.
We're boring Dave. He's already yawning.
Dave's had a long day.
We are just doing our best here.
Yeah.
So anyway, Tommy.
Well, I'm going to apologize right off the bat because it's been super, super hot here. And if you recall the last episode, I was going to go do some night flying, and that unfortunately got canceled due to the heat and wind. And they have canceled that particular event postponed it rather, to October. So
is that a fire hazard for you guys as well out there?
Well, it for sure is because it's pretty dry. And the field I fly at, speaking of fire hazards, I'm going to go off on a random topic, but they don't allow jets at the field that I fly at for just that reason, actually. Which is interesting. Anyway, so I've done almost nothing RC related, but I sure have thought a lot about it.
Well, that counts. There you go. Tell us all about your thoughts.
Well, I'm thinking about, we talked last episode about, you guys have the slow ultra sticks and it's kind of a joke how, I don't have one yet. And, I've crashed several that aren't mine. So I actually went to the place here locally to get one actually, and they were sold out.
Oh,
so I'm like, that's a bummer. So I went ahead and, had said, okay, well, next time you guys get a batch in, put one aside for me. I'll grab it. So I am making progress on acquiring my own slow ultra stick.
So it's on the wait list.
Okay.
So when they get them back in stock here locally, I'll grab one, and then I'll have one, and then the joke's over.
So we all got a text from our buddy Terry Dunn from the RC Roundtable podcast.
Right.
And I think I was impressed that he actually found one used for sale.
Yeah, I know. That's
really
the first time
one.
I've ever seen one for sale, used.
Yeah, never in all of our goings on different swap meets and even Facebook Marketplace, that kind of stuff. I've never seen one.
I think mine was the closest to being used of the whole batch. It was a box damage thing that we got at Toledo.
Yeah, but it's still new.
But it was brand new. So, yeah mine's as close as we've got.
Yeah. But, yeah, that's definitely something you need to get. I've been saying that for literally years now. So
that's true.
You need to do that, and you need to make it a night flyer and add some LEDs and just enjoy the snot out of it.
And that's the plan. So as soon as, like I said, as soon as they get one in stock here, I will join the club, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Move the CG back.
Yeah, definitely going to do that. Maybe I'll fly it once stock out. No, I'm going to go ahead and move the battery tray back. Like I think Ron, you did that to yours, right?
Nope, mine was fully stock. Yeah, Dave did it to his.
Yeah, it's just a few screws. It's no big deal.
Yeah, and then I'll have to do whatever you guys did to the receivers to allow the the separate left and right aileron thing with the AS3X.
Yeah, I haven't done that either.
That's also mine.
I bought the stuff to do it, but I never did it.
So you get the one AS3X floppy aileron.
Right.
The other one doesn't do anything. So yeah, you can program because you've got your radio that can do that.
But there's really no reason. Like that does not need flaps.
No, it doesn't.
So it flies just fine the way it is without all that.
But it adds to the interest, right?
It gives you something to play with.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that is on the way. I guess I could say on the way. Eventually, it will make its way into my hangar, along with when they get them back in stock, I'm going to get a UMX Viper.
Oh, I'm looking at mine in the box right now.
Yeah, I can't. That I'm really actually looking forward to because I miss my Vipers.
I'm not going to lie, this is going to sound really bad. Like I've said before, we don't use our basement very often. So right now, just to make it easier, we kind of have all the recording gear up on the other side. So Tommy, you know where it is, like up by the TV and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And so I walked down here tonight to set up everything and make sure the computer was on and all that for recording. And I looked down and saw the box of my UMX Viper that I completely forgot about. And I was like, oh, that's an awesome airplane. I'm glad I have it.
But you haven't even taken it out of the box yet?
No, I've flown it already.
These are broken.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave.
You broke. Oh, that's right.
It wasn't bad.
Nah.
They're
easy to fix.
It's kind of dead to me now, though. No, I'm kidding.
They're so light, though, that even when they're damaged, the damage is really not that bad.
Well, and you really can't.
UMXs, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, you really can't see it. It's just, like I said, landing and then getting caught in the no grass spot that we have at the field. So it happens. So, by the way, way off topic, but I just want to say I'm looking, I see your waveforms here where we're recording on the computer, and you're clipping, which means you're talking too loud for the way the microphone is. So,
wow, okay. Well, here, let me back up a little bit. Is that better?
That's better. Let me turn you up. If you're going to do that, keep talking then.
Okay, I'm talking, and you're making adjustments.
There we go. So we're going to make this work. We'll be fine. But let's try it like that for a while, and then we'll see.
Yeah, we're sneaking up on it.
Yeah.
It sounds definitely better.
Yeah, we'll get this figured out one of these years.
About the time you get back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we'll have to figure it all out again.
Yeah. No, I lost
to record.
You have to dust his mic.
Three of us.
I know I do. Actually, why the heck is that even still up? Oh, for somebody else. That's right.
Make it feel like he's still here.
Yeah, I'm gonna print a full size picture of Tommy and just sit him on the chair.
Don't they call that like a flat Stanley or something like that?
A flat Tommy.
A flat Tommy. But I mean, isn't a flat Stanley a thing?
Flat Stanley was a book.
No, Flat Stanley was tiny though. Flat Stanley fit in like books, and that was the thing.
He slid underneath the door.
Well, both of my kids had to make one, and then you had to send them to people you knew, and had to have them take pictures and stuff, and then it was the whole story. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So Flat Tommy then. And
way off topic again, but so you were obviously gone for this last Christmas when we did the. Or we canceled it, but when we were going to do the cookie day thing, and I had a full-size picture of you I was going to print holding a cake or holding cookies. I'm sorry. That
would have been awesome.
Yeah. I was going to print that, but like I said, then we canceled it.
Yeah, we just canceled it in general because of the snow.
Yeah. And it's not the same without you. So
thanks.
Get your ass back here. Anyway. Okay. What's next?
Yes. I don't know. Do you want to talk about the message we got?
Sure. Let's talk about switching.
Let's just dive right into airplane stuff.
Yeah. So Alan reached out to us. I'll read his message real quick. I'll start with the best part. It was great to hear Tom on the latest podcast. During that episode, you discussed getting a lesson from Miguel and touched on switch versus knob control for gain adjustments. I'm not a beginner pilot, but I'd love to hear more about the most common or traditional ways people assign functions to switches on Spektrum radios. I realize there are many radio models and everyone develops their own preferences, but I'm perfectly happy to follow the conventions that experienced pilots tend to use. Right now, the only assignments he says he uses consistently are throttle cutoff on the H switch and safe when it's available on the A switch. Beyond that, I've never felt completely confident about which switches are typically best for functions like flaps, retracts, thrust reverse, lights, gain adjustments, and so on. For example, he says, which switches do most pilots use for flaps and gear? If a model has thrust reverse, is there a commonly accepted switch assignment? If adding lights to a model, where would most people put that control? What is the knob most commonly used for? When assigning a switch, is there a convention for whether the activate position should be forward or backward? Currently, he's flying with an older DX6 after his DX8E started acting up, so limited to basic setups and doesn't even have a knob available. He says, as I eventually move to a newer radio with more switches and features, I'd like to build good habits and keep my setups consistent from model to model. And that's a point I want to key in on in a minute. One thing I'm also wondering about AS3X Plus, since the A switch on his DX6 is only a 2-position, will a 3-position switch become more important as he moves to newer radios and more advanced setups? He says he'd be interested in any tips, conventions, or lessons from Miguel that you all picked up over the years. And he says, thanks, Alan.
So I'm going to first off start by saying I am not the best at setting every radio up or every model up the same. I need to get much better at doing that.
Yeah, that's the really the point. Out of all of this, no matter what setup you choose to go with as far as switch assignments, just make it consistent. Like I think that's really. I'm not sure that there's a convention like for what flap switch or what switch to put flaps on or what switch to put gear on. I use whatever switch I can remember. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I keep it consistent across all of my models. Now, that's not to say eventually you may not have to adjust that, because if you start off with models, for example, that don't have lights that you want to turn off and on, let's say via a remote channel switch or the little device I'm talking about, you put in the plane. So if you've already set up your convention, then you may have to get comfortable with putting that switch someplace you may not be conventionally used to. So I guess what I'm saying is try to imagine every scenario, every available option that you might need a switch to use, and then assign them so that they make sense to you. Like me personally, I have my gear on switch A.
Well, hold on. Let's all kind of go through and say what we have on each one. Do you think? And then we'll kind of go from there. Sure. Now I will say Dave's is numbered different than ours.
Yeah, it's similar, but not exactly the same as far as the naming of the switches.
Right. So, plus his is not a Spektrum, right?
Well, and that's correct. So nobody really cares about that. But anyway, we'll let him talk anyway.
I wasn't going to say that.
So, I will give, or Tommy, you can. I really don't care. The layout of our IX series radios.
Yeah, you first. That way I can tell you you're wrong.
No, I'm talking layout, like physical layouts on the actual controller, so people kind of know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to start, when you're looking at the radio, left hand farthest back on what you can see. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I have switch A.
In my radio, it's a switch F.
And I said I'm going first.
I'm just comparing.
Okay, well, I guess we can do it that way. So A is the back left, and then we come forward to B. I thought Dave was talking here.
And that's E.
Okay. And then coming forward to the front, we'll stick with switches. I go C, D, and then D2. And then I go...
And that's going across the radio from left to right.
Yeah, this is going across left to right. Now, this is just switches. This isn't trimmer switches or anything. These are just the physical toggle switches. So anyway, C, D, And then D2, what's interesting?
You have 3 switches on the face of your 20. I only have, you have 6 total, right? 3 on the left and 3 on the right?
Correct.
I only have 2.
Okay.
Each.
Which one's yours?
I do not have the D2. I have an IX14.
14, okay.
Okay, so then you just have C and D. Okay.
Correct.
So, yeah, C, D, D2, and then moving over to the right, I have E2, E, and F. And then moving towards the back, on top of the radio, I have a G switch. And then the very back right, that's kind of off on its own little plateau, is an H switch.
Well, that's where ours match up.
So H is the same on ours?
G and H are the same on mine.
Okay.
Sweet.
Across the front of mine, though, from left to right on the front of the radio, it's A, B, C, D.
So you only have 4 on the front of yours too, then?
Yeah, I've got A, B, C, D.
Gotcha.
And then for some reason or another, then they switch back to E and F on the left back and G and H on the right top back.
Weird.
It's weird. It's like the same people who number the doors in my office.
Yeah, okay. So then like on ours, it's starting on the left back, coming around, wrapping around, then going to the right back for Spektrum is how they're numbered.
Yours, quite frankly, makes more sense.
I would completely agree. Okay, so then looking at the very top of mine, so next to the B switch, I have an LTT trimmer switch, which is the plus minus. I have a push button I switch, just momentary contact. Then moving over to the right-hand side, I have the right knob, which is a knob. And then I didn't have more to say about that. And then the
to say about that.
The RTT trimmer switch on the very top right.
And on my IX14, mine is identical minus the 2 rockers. I do not have those on the top of mine.
What do you mean rockers? The 2 RTT or the LTT and RTT?
Correct.
Okay.
Which would be trim switches.
Yeah. I would have.
I'm sure they could be assigned to something else, but
yeah.
Typically they'd be used as a trimmer.
Yep.
I would assume so. And then let's go to the very back of our transmitters. On the very back, I have sliders on the left and a slider on the right.
Same.
Dave?
And mine, once we get past the switches on the top, and doesn't match any of this.
Okay.
I've got face of the radio. I've got left at the top.
Who's beeping?
Sorry, that's me.
Stop
the volume
it.
down now. Sorry, I turned the volume down. Should be. Yeah, now it's quiet.
The top face of the radio, I've got 2 trimmers, knobs, or just the knobs.
Okay.
And at the bottom, I've got a slider. Bottom middle is a slider. And I've got 6 assignable momentary switches that can also be signed as locking switches, so they can actually be 3-position switches, even though they're buttons. It's kind of weird. They're completely programmable. So there's 6 buttons that can be programmed to do a variety of different things. The side of the radio, I've got 2, what do we call these, sliders?
Yeah,
sliders,
I think they're about they're sliders only because they don't fully rotate. So it's like a rotating switch that only moves, 30 degrees?
It's a knob without the knob.
Yeah.
But there's limited movement.
Yeah.
And the back of the radio, I got 2 momentary contact switches. So quite a bit different once we get away from the traditional switches at the top.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then on the very front of mine, underneath the switches, I have the left trim and the right trim on top. And then I have the, obviously the normal trim switches for your controls. And then everything else is touchscreen.
So there, right there, consistency is not going to run across brand, because what I set up on my radio is not going to work on your radio as far as being consistently being able to put the same function in the same spot.
But you can get it close.
I can get it close.
And really get it to wherever it's comfortable for you.
And that's the key, is consistency.
Yeah, keeping it the same across the different airplanes, so that you're not fumbling like I did, and trying to find a setting that was incorrect.
Worked out for me. I got an F-18.
Yeah, so I do feel better, though, knowing what it was. It's a learning lesson. It's a lesson that you have to
that's why
take away.
Consistency matters.
Yeah.
it's a timing issue. I should have gone back and reprogrammed after I learned the correct ways of doing things.
But there is no right or wrong way of
no,
doing
there actually
things.
is. I'm sorry. Like on this one, okay, so what we're talking about, in case you didn't hear the last episode, long story short, I ended up crashing my F-18 because after I hand launched it, it got into a nasty oscillation, and I could not turn...
The gyro was set too high.
Yeah, so I could not turn the AS3X
Did you say
down.
Nasty oscillation?
Oscillation.
Oh, oscillation.
Yes.
Okay.
It's when you just go back and forth
Quickly.
Yes.
quickly. And so post-mortem crash investigations, whatever you want to call it, I found out when I first started setting these up, I would use the knob as the gain adjustment for the airplanes. The lessons from Miguel part comes in as when he was showing me how to set up AS3X Plus on, I think it was the F-22. He told me you're better off putting them on these, like for me, it's the RTT and the LTT switches on the very top. I
think they refer to those as trimmers.
It could be. I don't know. We'll call it that. Trimmers just for now.
Yeah, because it's like a trim switch.
Yeah, that just sounds weird, but we can go with that. So anyway, we use the trimmers on top. And the reason for that is that stays locked in to what the values are for each airplane. So when you change it, whatever the value is for that airplane is what gets loaded into it. With the knob, that doesn't stick with the airplane. That sticks with the value on the actual knob itself. So what I did, I originally had it set up on the knob, which, I mean, it makes sense if you're...
That's actually the way that FreeSky tells you to do a gyro. Is set it up on the knob to start with.
Well,
get it where you want it.
There you go.
And then take and transfer those values into a switch.
Yeah.
And zero out the knob.
There's the catch. So yes, you're supposed to, after you get it set, lock it in on the. You're supposed to fly it, get it how you want it on the knob, and then land, capture those gains into the receiver, and then the knob's not used anymore.
Right.
Hence another mistake I made, which is cool. Whatever,
Well, but
it's
to be fair, I think it was a couple of instructional videos from Spektrum when they were, I think maybe when Synapse first maybe came out. Might have been before that. That was their technique for doing gains also. Do it on the knob, capture gains, save them, and then you're done. So that's why I started using the knob initially for gains. And then, obviously with Miguel's lesson, I don't do that anymore either. But like, it's not our fault that we started using the knob. That's kind of how we were instructed to do it by the little wikis that Spektrum was putting on early on when we were, being able to adjust gain remotely.
Right. Yeah, I understand, but I didn't follow that final step of locking it in.
I didn't either. I don't think a lot of people did.
And that's what bit me. So once again, by using those, and we can go here just really quickly over what we use each switch for, because this wasn't supposed to be like a programming for AS3X episode, but right. I think that's a good point to make. Like, I don't use my knob for anything anymore. Do you guys?
I use a knob to turn the lights up and down on the radio.
Oh, okay. Your backlights?
It's a dimmer switch, yeah.
Okay.
I use the knob on mine on, I think, just one airplane, the Night Radian, to adjust the Wingnut RC light board.
The light pattern.
Yeah, and I don't have that.
I use mine for.
I don't have that anymore, so I got rid of mine, so I don't use that at all.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So, shall we just kind of go through our switches and see what we use each one for?
Yeah, and sure. I think they're all going to be fairly similar.
I think so. Because since he was asking the question about Spektrum, we will start with what we call the switch, and then you can, Dave, tell us what your bastardized switch naming convention is when we're talking about the same switch, okay? Okay. Tom, you want to start with switch A? What do you use? And we might not even be the same on this. Like, I don't know what you guys use. I don't think you know what I use. So this will be interesting.
True. So obviously, just like my radio announced, switch A is across all of my airplanes is gear. And then I just want to touch on this real quick before we really dive in. My default, if you will, switch positions, so that I know where I'm starting with every single airplane, and I put the radio away with the switches in these positions, is up and back, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So all of my switches in like what I would call like a normal mode, if you will. So that would be gear down, throttle active, pretty much ready to fly. All of my switches on the face are up, and all the switches on the top of the radio or back are back or down if you're looking at it, horizontally.
So on ours, that's all set to 0.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Dave?
Same.
You agree?
So everything high rates and 0 is up or away from me on the radio.
Yeah. I still hear Tommy playing with his.
Radio. Playing with my radio.
I say you need to clarify.
So that's what I use switch A for. It's gear.
Same. Back is... down
is down. And
down is up. Up is up. Yep. So now I will say I do use switch A for something different on different airplanes. So I don't have many set up with student instructor control, but the ones that I do have obviously don't have retractable gear. So I use the switch A for student/instructor control.
Same.
And I've not got an instructor set up on this one, so...
If you did, let's imagine.
To be determined.
Probably it would be the momentary at the back.
See, I don't...
So like our eye switch? Or button, rather.
Actually, it's H.
Yeah, he's weird. No, so on his, Tommy, so we have the H switch on the back, or the back right. That's a 2 position. His is momentary.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Weird, I know. I was thinking the same thing.
So that's probably where I'd put it.
So and since we're talking about student instructor control, and I don't know how yours works, Dave, and you obviously don't either if you haven't set it up. But with ours, I do use the switch. That way I can completely give control to the student. The way this works, though, is anytime I move any of my controls,
when you
it gives me control back, even if the switch isn't flipped into my position.
Exactly.
I've gotten in the habit of just holding the radio and actually letting the gravity push down on the switch.
Yeah.
So I'm actually not holding the switch. Just I have to move my finger.
You are holding the switch. I mean, I don't know. You can play it off saying you're not, but you are.
The radio is pushing it against my finger.
You're holding it up then.
And then I just move my finger out of the way.
And drop the radio? So you're holding it.
Okay, I'm holding the switch.
I can argue for days.
I actually like the way Ron and I have ours set up, because you can flip the switch and then you can just hold the radio and be comfortable without having to. Oh shoot! I'm sorry. I let go of the switch. Here, let me give you control back. Like they have control until I move anything on and that includes trims. Like if you bump a trim, you get control back. I like that because, like Ron is kind of alluding to, I don't have to sit there and hold a switch in a certain position. I can just flip the switch and they've got control until I move anything on my transmitter. I like that. I like that a lot, actually.
Until I see something needs to be taken over, it is immediate control as soon as you move something and start to fly the airplane.
And I'm pretty sure this radio works the same way.
But you don't know.
But I don't know because I haven't tried it. I don't have a student at Free Sky Radio to try with. I'll have to grab Daniel's one of these days and see if I can set up something.
Yeah, that would be good to know, honestly.
It would be. Yeah, I think so too.
Or I just need to get more people to use Free Sky.
Nah.
Get the quality stuff.
Nah. I don't know about that.
What about Switch B for Spektrum guys?
Well,
are we ready to move on? Yeah,
we can move on, absolutely. Okay. So I have Switch B set up with rates on a lot of my stuff, not everything.
Interesting. So Switch B for me is AS3X, either on, off, or safe.
That one?
Normally. Yeah, that's B. That's what we call it. But what do you call that one, Dave?
In mine, it's E, Edward.
Okay.
So and Tom,
AS3X for me.
You and I are the same. That's AS3X or gyro mode, depending on if it's AS3X or straight gyro.
Yep. Ron? Oh, you said
rates.
Rates.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it depends on the airplane. And that's one of the things where I need to get better at getting the naming conventions or the switch conventions standardized. There are some, I think, if you get like the bind and fly Spektrum ones, I think the B is the safe AS3X thing, if I remember right.
I think that's why I use that, is because that was kind of the default from Spektrum programming.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the same for me as well. And it's safe, AS3X, and off. So I like being on a 3-position switch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, so for mine, off is back, and then AS3X on essentially is middle, and then forward is safe.
Exactly the same.
Okay. Cool.
And same with my gyros. Same setup.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm not the same because I go AS3X back because that's usually how I fly, off in the middle, and then safe close because I honestly don't ever use safe.
No, I never use safe either. But.
So
Yeah, I don't either.
that's only when it comes with the airplane, but I guess I don't bind with it either. So it probably doesn't even do anything if I needed it. But anyway, yeah.
Probably not.
So that's
Cool.
my B switch. You,
All right.
Tommy and I are pretty even.
you guys want to move on to C?
Which
Yeah.
is
So
that one.
for me,
Yeah.
it would be top left on the face, right? For me, that is my flap switch.
Really? Okay. Well, so for me, that's my safe AS3X switch.
Okay, so you flip flop those two switches
Well, no.
because you said you
on the
use
airplane.
rates
Yeah.
and then safe.
But he said that those are his flaps on C.
But you flip flopped between
B and C.
B and C.
Now, he said,
Well, maybe, I guess, sure.
depending on the airplane, yeah, because you said you put safe on B.
Yeah.
So that kind of goes with AS3X, right?
Well, no, I didn't say safe on B. I said rates on B. But then when we were talking about safe, like how it was set up, I said my AS3X is away from me, and then off is middle.
Gotcha.
And
you
then
got ahead of yourself. You were talking about your AS3X.
we
and
were
you weren't
we
even
were talking
on your
about
switch yet.
switch positions though for safe
Yeah,
and
but
AS3X.
we were talking
That's why I
about
brought
the
it.
B switch position. You don't have AS3X on the B, so you're confusing people.
I'm confusing myself at this point.
Okay.
So, Ron, what do you use your C switch for?
Safe
Just
and
AS3X?
AS3X and AS3X off. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then
So
the
away
default
from
is-
me
Okay.
is AS3X, and the position 1 is off, and then position 2 is safe.
Yeah. So
Which
for
is
me,
also
0
off,
is
by the way.
Flaps. Okay, gotcha. So for me, 0 is flaps up, and then 1 is flaps mid, and 2 would be what I would call landing flaps or max flaps, depending on the airplane.
Okay. Dave?
Mine is switch A, same switch though. And that is my triple rates for my elevator.
Oh, man.
Okay, so I got to ask before we go any further. When it comes to rates, how do you guys do your rates? Do you guys do all three on 3 different switches, or do you combine all of your rates on one switch?
I like them completely separate because if one's out of whack, you're not stuck. Daniel set up an airplane the other day, and he had everything on. It was the Bighorn. He had everything on one switch. And it's like, man, if the ailerons are way too much and the elevator's fine, I don't want to kill the elevator. And once everything is set up and correct the way I like it, I have no problem putting them on one switch if I were to do that. But for initial flights, at least, I want them all on separate switches.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I don't actually do too much with rates. I mean, if I'm setting there, I know if I'm setting an airplane up, I usually will have pretty much full rates and then just use Expo. If I am setting it up, then it's all on one switch. I don't separate it out. The only time it's ever separated out is when it's a file that comes from a BNF the BNF airplanes.
That's interesting.
And I just find go ahead.
I definitely use rates for like a lot of different reasons, but I do rates with Expo. But like one reason I would use different rates on the same airplane would be if I'm out just, well, for example, the timber. If I want to go out and just bore holes in the sky and, make the thing flip and all that, obviously I'll fly it on max rates, but I can't land the dang thing smoothly on max rates. So I bump the rates down so I can have a nice smooth landing. Or vice versa, if I'm flying my Ranger in this case, if I'm looking right at it, on the transmitter anyway, if I, generally speaking, I fly it at mid rates. I'm still kind of a new jet pilot, getting comfortable with the airplane. Eventually I'll probably, move to high rates, which really aren't that much more than mid rates. But if I want to do nice, smooth across the field rolls, I'll put it on low rates. That way I can really kind of feed in the input and feel the control on the transmitter, as opposed to making small inputs and over controlling the airplane and making my roll not smooth, if that makes sense. It just slowing down the rates or minimizing the rates when you're trying to do precision stuff, I think is better than flying around at max rates with a lot of expo. That's just my opinion, though.
I'm trying to process. I guess I can see that.
Yeah. And me personally, I generally speaking, across all my airplanes, I put all of the rates on one switch, with the exception of fast airplanes like the jets, the EDFs, the little fast prop plane, the V900. I do separate the elevator from the aileron and rudder. So for example, on the V900, I have my rudder aileron rates on a different switch than my elevator rates. Because kind of like Dave, I do like to keep those two separated just in case.
And across the board on mine, and I've got no problem doing it the way you're doing it, but I've just never get around doing the extra programming. Everything on all my aircraft are split. Elevator, aileron, and rudder all have separate switches for rates.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just a preference.
If I get happy with them, I could put them on one switch, but I just never get around to doing it.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, so is that everything for the C switch?
I think so.
Or the H, is it for you, Dave?
A.
Okay, so moving to D
or B
on the Spektrum, or B on the Frizzle Sky. So on mine, I don't have that currently assigned to anything on any of my airplanes.
So for me, D is where I have flaps.
Is it because it's longer and easier to reach?
You betcha. Mine's flaps as well.
Okay. It's barely longer, but I guess so, yeah.
Oh, well, I only have the two switches on the face of mine, whereas you have the three, Ron. So that's how mine are, I have a short and a long.
Mine are grossly different. One's a stubby and one's quite long.
So my middle one that we're talking about now, D, is probably an 1/8 inch longer. And then my D2 is probably an 1/8 inch longer than that. Would you agree with that?
Gotcha.
Rough estimate, Dave? Yeah.
Yeah, they're different sizes, but similar.
I think comparing mine to Dave's, so take out the middle one. So if I just compare my C to D2, I think
I think we're about the same difference if you skip your middle position.
Yep, on the lengths on them. So
okay.
Tommy, what's the difference in the length in yours?
It's about, I'm looking at it, it's about a 1/2 inch.
Okay.
Maybe 3/8. Yeah, it's quite a bit different.
Yeah. So I think that's probably what the difference is. Your D2 or your D is my D2 lengthwise.
Mm-hmm.
That's confusing, but yeah. Okay, so Dave, what do you use? If Tommy uses nothing, I use it for flaps.
And I use it for flaps.
And you use it for flaps also.
And flaps are away from me. Up.
Flaps.
Flaps away from me is up.
Gotcha.
Up towards the top of the radio.
Mm-hmm.
Middle, and then down.
Middle is takeoff, and down is
full flap.
Full flap deployment. Yeah. I would agree on that one. That's how my flaps are set up too.
And sometimes I will take and set up the flaps on a knob to get them where I want, and then I flip them over to switch. That way I can hit the same flap every time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I can see that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'll go next because nobody else has a D2.
Correct.
But my D2 is what I have set up for my lights. D2 on these or on this is just a simple 2-position switch. So on off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, then I'll go again because I have an E2, which is nothing.
Blank.
Okay.
Yeah, not set up for anything. Okay. So then we'll move to E, What do you guys have set up on E or Dave's?
Is it this one?
The long one on the right. Yep.
Yep. Okay.
What's yours, Dave?
It's C.
C. Okay. So for my E switch, that it would be my elevator rates.
Okay.
Rudder rate.
Okay.
And honestly, the only one that I have this used on that I use an E on is the Jet, and that's the gyro gains for normal, medium, and high.
Ah, okay. Yeah, see, that's something I've not set up on any of my jets yet is multiple gain settings.
So I was going to say, I'm going to be honest. I have not either. But when Ali set this one up, that is how he did it, and I have not changed it off of
Gotcha.
like everything just flies up. So when that is in position 0, that's how I fly it.
Gotcha. Yep. Makes sense.
Now mine does have different gain settings based on flat position, and I think yours is probably set up the same way, Tommy.
It is. Yep.
Yeah, because you want higher gains when you're flying slower with,
Yes.
so it can control it better. But anyway, okay.
Yep. Cool. Shall we move to Foxtrot?
Or D for dog.
So that on mine, the F switch is my aileron rudder rates.
Same.
Nothing. I don't have it set up for anything. And that's Dave's D.
Yeah.
Copy. Cool. Do you want to talk about the rocker switches since we're on the face, or you just want to go ahead and go all the way around?
What rocker switches? You mean the trim
trimmers.
switches?
Yeah.
Well, those aren't
Those
the
aren't
one
fit.
but not the one I use for my gains.
Oh. Well, I use the right trim switch, rocker, trimmer switch thing, which is next to my E switch to the left, and that is my gain adjustment.
Okay. I don't use that for anything.
Do you use the left one for anything?
I don't. That's this one
okay.
right here, Dave.
Okay, so in the place where you've got switches, I've got my knobs.
He's got his his knobs.
Tune in Tokyo knobs?
I didn't know if that was okay to say. So,
Oh, there's no bad words in that. Tune in Tokyo.
well, I know what I know that as, but I don't know what the actual.
Well, imagine turning. Well, a lot of people probably don't. Younger folks probably don't get it, but we used to have to tune radios to bring in radio stations, and there were knobs on the front of the radio, and you tune in, radio station. I'm trying to clean it up, Ron.
Okay, well, I was just making sure. Maybe I didn't know.
No,
Anyway,
I'm just trying to clean it up.
My right one is the one I use for the dimmer, for the backlit screen, and the left one is used for gyro setup.
When you say gyro setup, do you mean gains?
Yeah, gyro setup gain.
Okay.
And once I figure out what gains I want, then I move it to a switch,
Gotcha. Okay.
which I haven't got around to doing at this point. I've only got one airplane with a gyro, so it's still on the knob. But it will be moved to a switch when I decide, A, which switch is going to be, and B, get around to doing it.
okay. So
Okay.
next,
What are we on then? G?
yeah,
Golf?
I'm at G for groovy.
Which is the same as mine.
That's the same as Dave's. So we're all on G.
right.
Do we use G for anything?
Yes.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah, I don't use it either.
I use that as my throttle safety or throttle kill.
Really?
whichever. Yeah. It's a 3-position
okay.
switch. I wish it was actually a 2-position switch, on or off, but I can get into this radio and move switches around and tell it it's a 2-position or a 3-position. I just haven't got around to it.
Yeah, I don't use that switch for anything.
So
right now.
towards me is throttle armed. Throttle works. Away from me, I'm sorry, other way around. The switch away from me is throttle live, armed.
Yeah, okay.
And when I flip the switch towards me,
Towards you.
it's throttle safety. It's off. It doesn't work.
Yeah. It's always confusing when you name that switch.
Yeah.
Because mine's throttle cut on.
Or it's throttle cut, depending on if it's gas or electric.
Yeah.
So I got it throttle safety on or off, or throttle cut on or off.
I just call everything throttle cut.
Same.
But not for that switch.
Not that switch, right.
Right.
Yep.
And that's just what I've got that one set up for.
Okay. And then the H switch is the one that I use for throttle cut or ignition on-off on the gas airplanes. That's what I use that switch for. And down is off or disarmed, if you will. And up is armed or ignition on.
So we're the opposite on that.
Oh, really?
So for me, throttle cut is up. So when it's close, when it's
you know what? Maybe I'm backwards.
when it's position. So when I'm flying, everything is away from me.
Ah, yes. Okay. Yeah, you and I are the same. Yep. Back, yeah, down or back is
back and to the
off.
left.
Yep, is off or disarmed, and then forward is armed or on.
And I gave that a lot of thought on my radio before I ever started assigning it. So that switch towards me is everything's off.
Yes.
Nothing works.
Same.
Yes.
And that's because I think it's much more likely if I were to set this radio down,
Exactly.
and something may hit it and hit the switch. Well,
Yep.
so it's going to turn it off. So I can't accidentally turn my motor on the workbench. If I had it so that on was the other way around, it could be I hit a switch or hit something and it would turn on the motor
And chop your fingers off.
and chop my fingers off. So that's the reason.
I gave it a lot of thought too, and that's why I set mine up that way.
This was hours and hours of thinking.
I didn't think twice. I just like, away from me when I fly, towards me, no throttle.
Yeah. I've also dropped my radio once. And that,
Yikes.
yeah. So,
Yeah, I'm probably going to do it because I'm going to say this now, but I've never dropped any of my transmitters.
Oh, you should not.
I know, that's why I said I'm probably going to do it now.
I
But,
actually fell.
oh,
And that's when I dropped my transmitter. So
I mean, that's
turned the throttle off as me grabbing it.
that's more traumatic for the transmitter, but probably a funnier story.
Yeah. It was the paramotor. It wasn't too bad. It kind of just drifted off on its own for a while.
Oh, it's flying away. Hold on, I got plenty of time.
I got 45 seconds here before anything happens.
All right. So while we're on the top of the radio, top right knob, right? If we're talking knobs. So on mine, I use that, like I said kind of earlier, I use that for the Radian, night Radian with the wing nut RC board. And that's all I use it for. I used to use it for rates, but I don't do that anymore.
Yeah. We learned and decided not to use it anymore.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't use the knob for anything.
I don't got one.
Dave don't got one.
And then, so on moving over to the left-hand side on the top of the transmitter, my I push button switch, I will use that on my nitro airplanes as a throttle cut.
Oh, okay. I don't have any.
I know you don't.
I use that as a thrust reverse.
As do I. On
EDFs.
On the
Yeah.
EDFs. Yep. Well, actually, I have that set up on my turbo timber also.
Oh, well, yeah, I forgot about that. But that way it's a momentary contact switch. You can't accidentally flip it while it's in the air.
Right.
That one I did give a little bit of thought to.
Yeah.
That way you can't, like somebody else we know, flip the switch while you're flying and put it in reverse and crash.
Well, isn't there, like, correct me if I'm wrong. We're getting off topic, but like on the thrust reverse, I think at least on the Spektrum speed controllers, don't you have to go to idle first?
No, not all of them.
Okay.
Because I have some that you don't have
Just
to.
go straight to it? Okay. Well, disregard. Let's
And
move on.
that's something else you can program. You can program like speed, how long it takes to slow down and then reverse, so it's not like instantaneous, like throwing off the nuts on the motor, that kind of thing, holding the propeller on.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. What about the shoulder sliders on the back of the transmitter? You guys want to talk about those?
Hold on. I'm talking about my RTT switch on the top. This is also the trim switch, and then the LTT. So the way I have stuff set up now is the RTT switch gives me the gain control for AS3X, and then the LTT one gives me the stock stop, lock, release, or whatever that's called, control.
Oh,
So
okay.
that way you can.
Oh, nice. You have that set up. You can adjust on the fly.
Yeah.
I'll have to copy that probably.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really know what it does. I don't know what I'm looking for, but when my plane was set up with Miguel, that's what he set it up, and he tried to explain what I was looking for. He's like, okay, now look, and when I do this, see the difference?
No.
Yeah, big difference. No, I mean,
it looks good.
I at the time I could tell what he was talking about, but it's been a couple years since we've done that, and at this point, I don't even think I'd remember what to look for.
Right.
Now we can move on to the back if you want to.
Okay, sure. So the one controlled by my left hand, which would be on the left side of the transmitter.
That's usually how it works if you're holding it right.
All right. So that is my volume control.
Same. Dave?
Yes. And
oh, sorry. Continue, Tommy. I didn't think there was more to talk about volume, but sure.
No, that's it. Okay. Sorry.
My rotary sliders, whatever you want to call them, are not on the back. They're on the side of the radio, and neither of them do anything.
Because your radio's weird.
And the one on the right, I use for brakes.
Mm-hmm. Proportional brakes.
Yep.
Which would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And probably if I had proportional brakes, that's where mine would go as well.
Well, you need to get a jet, Dave.
Yeah, no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No.
And that's it. That's it for the switches on my transmitter.
Yeah.
I got more.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. I got push buttons. I got push buttons on the back.
Nice.
They're momentary contacts. Currently, they're not set up for anything, but they will be set up for telemetry readouts. So I just push button and it'll tell me voltage or speed or altitude or whatever just by tapping that button. That's cool. What they will be set up for, but they're not currently.
Nice.
And there's two of them, so you can do two different ones.
That reminds me, Tommy. So before we started recording, before you were on, I was talking to Dave about transmitters, obviously. And I remember on mine, and I don't know if you can do it on yours or not, they have I think they're called capacitive switches, capacitive touch switches or something. So you can set up just to touch the switch, not change it, but just touch it, and it will tell you what its function is.
Yep. Call outs.
Yeah.
I have a couple of those set up on a couple of different models, but I've only really kind of just sort of, well, before I came here, had just sort of tapped into that. So I was still kind of trying to figure that out. But yeah, eventually I would like to explore that further. And so for example, you can tell it by touching, let's just say, a switch I'm not using. Well, it can be even a switch that you are using. But switch E, for example, on mine, it's the long one on the face on the top right. I can touch that if I've got a receiver that is telemetry capable, and then also has the variometer. Anytime I touch that, it will tell me what altitude it is at that given second, which is kind of neat.
So you're basically using it like my touch switches in the back.
Yeah.
Sounds that way, yeah.
Mine are not capacitive, which...
Yeah, you just have to go click, click, click every time you push it. These are
a little jealous.
These don't.
But
yeah, you actually...
Like I said, I've only just sort of started exploring that, so I want to get more into that eventually.
Looking at Dave's controller sitting over here, though, he could not do that with any of them because all of his are covered in rubber covers.
Little rubber caps.
Yeah.
It makes for a nice touched feel especially when your hands are a little sweaty.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I get that.
So one thing I will absolutely say between any of the controllers that we use is we probably don't touch 10% of what they are capable of.
Oh, no.
True statement.
We don't know everything that they are capable of and what all the programming and stuff is that you can do with them.
So what we're taking away from this is there is no right or wrong. It's just whatever works for you, and just stay consistent within what works for you.
And that's
or your flying friends if you swap radios back and forth.
Yeah, and that's a lesson I need to learn is to stay consistent with all the airplanes.
Yeah. So we have a lot of consistency amongst ourselves, but a lot of differences as well.
Yeah, and I've heard you guys talk about setting up the different rates on different switches for but for the ailerons or rudder or what, I can't make that make sense to where I would ever need that.
And to me, a brand new airplane, I don't want them all on one switch because, oh my gosh, one is way out of whack. I'm stuck with that without changing everything else.
Yeah, but you can still.
So I
guess
mix and match. I can have high rates on ailerons and low rates on elevators, which I actually have a couple of airplanes that fly that way. And then rudder, I can actually separate out because some aircraft need a lot more rudder for ground handling, but in flight, it's way too much to deal with.
Okay.
And I mean, you can use Expo to soften that out, yes. But I just like being able to flip switches, and I line up on the runway and set my switches just like a full-size aircraft and go.
See, I think that's, for me, I like the less switching, the less I have to remember what's where.
And I like to mix and match.
Yeah. And that obviously has to do with different styles, different preferences on what each person likes to fly with or how they like to fly.
Right, right. And I'm somewhere in between the two of you. Ron doesn't use rates, and Dave gets finitely detailed. He has each one on a separate switch, and I'm just kind of somewhere in the middle. But yeah, you do whatever is comfortable for you at the end of the day. As long as you're doing what makes sense to you and you're keeping it consistent across all of your airframes, I think you can't lose.
I'm gonna caveat my comment of not using rates with depending on the airplane. So the couple that I can think of that I have rates set up on are the more like 3D aerobatic types. But most like just foamy things that, you buy bind and fly from Horizon or Cubs and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't see a reason to have multiple rates on those.
It's like my UMX stuff. I have all three rates on everything. They give you high rate and low rate in the books, and I just split the middle for mid rate. I almost exclusively fly all of those on high rate all the time.
Yeah.
Same.
And that's kind of the same way I am with 90% of what I have. I'm not going to touch a rate. If I have to set it up myself, I won't set it up because I don't. The way I fly, I don't feel as though I need it.
Yeah. I set them up just because they're there, but I never use them. Quite frankly, I could just set them, leave them all at 100% and just leave them alone.
Yeah.
So, Ron, let me ask you, do you set up your airplane, if you're not going to use rates, do you set up the airplane as though it was at high rates? Like, do you put max deflection when you're setting it up?
Yeah. So, and it depends on the airplane. I mean, once again, so if there's a manual that says, okay, this is what the high rates are supposed to be, this is what low rates are supposed to be. If it's not different enough for me to like notice, like, because sometimes you see high rates and low rates that are really, there's not much difference in them.
There's less than an eighth inch difference.
Right. So no, I don't go through the whole setup of that. And I will check the throws to make sure they're what they're supposed to be. And I will soften it up with Expo, but no.
A lot of it's first flights because you don't know what to expect. So I'll take the recommended rates and put those usually at the mid rate.
Yeah.
If it looks soft, if their high rates look soft to me, I will put my own high rates in because often I find the recommended rates are a little soft.
Yeah.
And then I will put
they're normally pretty conservative.
And then I'll put low rates in on low. And I will usually take off in mid rate the recommended high rate. And if I find it's not reacting the way I want, I can flip it high or low depending on what it's doing.
Yeah.
And then I'll find what I want and then fine tune each position to what it really needs to be.
So here's a recent example that I have of a good reason to use rates. So I put this old Great Plains electric cap together, and I maidened it, as we talked about a few weeks ago, and I used the recommended CG and everything, right? Well, you can be only so perfect with your fingertips measuring a CG, right? So the airplane happened to be tail heavy on its first flight, and like Dave mentioned, I normally kind of stick to mid rates, especially on a maiden, because I don't want too much. I don't want to, pilot induced oscillations, but I also want to make sure I have enough throw if I need it. So I took off at mid rates, and the airplane was tail heavy, so that naturally aerodynamically makes them very sensitive on the pitch axis, right? So took off, and the thing was almost uncontrollable on the pitch axis. Just very, very small movements on the stick. It was making huge changes in attitude on the pitch axis. So it was nice to be able to reach up real quick and flip that elevator dual rate switch, which is switch E on my transmitter, down to put it in low rates so I could control the thing and get it back around and get it on the ground, because there was no way I would have been able to land it successfully probably at even mid rates, because it was significantly tail heavy. So that's a scenario where I like to have rates. No amount of expo would have allowed me, because I don't have that sort of run. You must have more
fine motor skills. Yeah,
exactly. Motor skills to be able to do that. I would not have been able to do that. So for me, that's one of several reasons I can think of that I actually use rates instead of expo. I mean, I still use expo, but I also use rates.
Yeah, and I guess I could very easily be convinced I'm wrong. But
I don't think it's a matter of being right or wrong. It's just what you're comfortable with and what your preference is. I just try to think ahead. Like, it would be nice if I could turn the rates down real quick in case, like I said, I have an airplane that is just too touchy, or vice versa. If I take off in mid rates and the airplane, doesn't have enough throw, I suppose if I set it up that way to begin with, it would be fine. But
that's where I got bit with the F-16. It didn't have nearly enough elevator to climb, but I also didn't have enough time to throw a switch to high rate.
Yeah. But I also, to caveat that, I also set I'm going to say all, but I'm probably just most of my airplanes up to get the max throw without putting anything in a bind. And then I'll set that to a high rate on my switch, so that if I do get into a bind and I need extra throw, I've got it. I can just flip it up there and I've got what I got. And if I need more throw, then there's just not any more throw to be had physically on the airplane.
Yeah. Well, like, going back to the plane you were talking about, that is one I would have set up dual rates on.
Oh, okay.
Because that's an aerobatic type airplane that
you
can get in trouble with very quickly.
Very quickly.
Yeah. And like the ones I'm talking about are like the Twin Otter, when I flew that a little while ago. That I think that comes set up from the factory with dual rates and all that, but I've not flown anything except full rates on that. The same with any of the other airplanes of that style.
I think most of the Horizon stuff is full rate is usually where you want it anyway, or even more.
Yeah. But like,
I feel like we could probably talk for like an entire episode about rates, if I'm honest. I mean, we've been talking about rates now for, 10, 15-ish minutes on an episode where we're talking about switches.
Well, we can quit if you want to quit. I mean, that's fine.
No, I'm just saying that there's that much that goes into that. Like, and everybody's going to, have an opinion or a preference as to how they set their switches up, and rates kind of ties into that.
Yeah.
So anyway, that pretty much covers the switches, right? Switch setup.
Yeah.
And we have, like, as we talked about, we're not using maybe 10% of the capability of these radios between the three of us. And it was good to actually talk about this, because now I realize I have some switches open that I can start, putting stuff on, like lights and, whatever.
Yeah. And it's interesting to hear what you guys use for your, because we've never had this conversation before. No. Like, no. I don't know how Dave sets his up or how Tommy sets his up, and I just know what I do and what makes sense for me.
Right.
But it could be now Dave has to
aileron high rates.
Yeah. So I do have a switch that's set up for doing nothing but this. That's all it does.
I mean, I feel so special that he took the time to make his transmitter make fun of me. I mean,
I don't think I have a switch in his radio.
No.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
See?
It's pretty special. You're special.
And you guys are like, I don't have my transmitter on because I didn't want to make a bunch of noise in the background like other people. But you guys have just the like twangiest Americanized voice in both of those that I can think of.
That is British, believe it or not.
That is not British.
That is the British setting.
That is terrible. Then nobody's been to Britain on that one. That has never been over there.
That is the British setting.
But mine is set to the British setting, and it has the accent to it. I just feel like I'm a little more posh when I hear a British accent telling me what's going on. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Admit it, Ron. You just want to be told what to do by a British chick.
I mean,
I got no problem with that.
Yeah, who doesn't? I like that you assume it's a female voice on mine, but that's okay.
Well, I've heard it, so I know it's female.
Yeah. Throttle cut on.
Yours is sped up so much, it just bothers me.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't like it drawn out and long. I want it to give me the information quick. Let's be done. So, and that's the other thing. We're talking about transmitters. Landing flaps. Flaps up.
It's clear, and I can understand what she's saying.
Okay.
Just saying.
But I was going to say, so that there's another thing. I got into this with small airplanes. Like when I started in the hobby, smaller airplanes, nothing that was complex, and didn't have any of the voice, the voices and stuff that you can do on these radios now. Mm-hmm. How did you guys deal with? Well, I guess you wouldn't have had all these switches on older ones, would you?
No, we had two.
Yeah, really.
So there was
before they started putting dual rates on switches. Yeah, I think we only had two, and that was gear and flaps. That was your options.
So you just had enough to where you could remember what each one was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That was one of the biggest pluses with the more advanced radios is it started talking to you, and that it was really nice for complex aircraft like my F-15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very handy knowing all the call-outs and what's going on just by listening to them.
And sometimes you forget what mode you're in, so you can flip a switch real quick to say, oh, okay, it is in the high rate with high... yeah. Oh, my God, I've had a stroke.
High rate
and
with...
See, and even
Expo.
though we try to set them up consistently, there you go. Sometimes we have to flip a switch to remind ourselves, oh, flaps up. Okay, yeah, this is the up position.
Or
I know what you mean.
If we set it up right, we can just touch it and it will tell you what it is.
That's true.
But I don't have mine set up right.
Yeah.
And that, okay, not part of this, but do you guys use templates for setting up new airplanes?
I do.
Do you?
That way all my switch assignments are the same.
I copy and paste. So I find a similar airframe. If it's a flying wing, I find another flying wing. If it's conventional with flaps and retracts, I use a conventional with flaps and retracts. Yeah. And then tweak it from there. It saves me a whole lot of typing, especially with the call outs and all the other fun stuff. So I can move a lot around. I don't start with a fresh blank airplane most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, same. I do have a file that I exported, like after I had everything, switch assignments, all that stuff the way I wanted it. Not for big airplanes, but just for smaller, flaps and that kind of stuff. But I think it might have gear. I don't remember. But anyway, I do have a template that I saved just for that, for setting up a new airplane.
Yep.
And it does make it a lot easier.
Yes, it does. It makes the setup quicker, too.
Another thing I haven't actually done, but I need to. So I have not deleted an airplane out of my transmitter for probably 2 years. So I need to get in there and just completely revamp my menu and what airplanes I have in there, reorganize them and all that stuff. I don't like doing that on the tiny, tiny screen. I don't know what, it kind of bugs me. I found out, and you might be able to, Tommy, also, I don't know, and Dave, I'm not sure how yours is, but you can hook up the iX20 to a computer just with a cable.
Yeah.
And then the whole computer screen turns into the screen on the iX20.
I don't get the entire screen. It doesn't duplicate what I'm looking at on the radio, but it actually becomes a file system, just like working with regular files in Windows.
Oh, okay.
So I just go into model files and whatever else.
Okay.
So it's not hard to work with. It'd be kind of cool, though, if it did duplicate the on radio screen on computer. But
well, I'm going to be honest. The only reason I know that is because at Joe a couple years ago, the Horizon guys were doing a demo on with their iX20, and I saw that David Payne just plugged it right into his computer, and then it's showing the whole thing up on the projector. I was like, that is my biggest takeaway from this whole thing. I don't even remember what they were talking about at this point, to be honest, but that was my biggest takeaway from that, and I haven't tried it yet.
No, the screen on this on the DX good.
See, you're missing it.
On the X20 RS is big enough that it's really not an issue to manipulate the files.
It's the same on this. I mean, like, this is not a tiny screen either, but I find it easier. Maybe I'm getting old, I don't know, but I find it easier to have the full screen where you can just use a mouse to move things and do what you have to do.
If I were to do if I had a bunch of stuff to move around, I would do it on the computer because you can just click and, it works just like Windows.
Yeah.
And then just download back into the radio. But I don't do that much. I mean, I took one out tonight while we were sitting here. I scrolled through all my airplanes and found one that I didn't own anymore. And it took all of 3 clicks and it was gone.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, excuse me. That's the other thing on this one. You can categorize them. So you can set up your own categories.
Yeah, and I've got that on this as well.
And so setting that up is, probably it's just me being lazy, but I think I would find it easier to do it on the actual computer screen as opposed to clicking and opening and fat fingering and maybe missing what I'm trying to put it in for that.
Yeah. I find it actually works better than my phone as far as typing in stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's bigger. I mean, it's got a bigger screen than your phone, so.
Well, it's easier for old guys like me to see, too.
I just completely lied. I don't think it has a bigger screen than my phone now that I looked at them sitting next to each other.
No, mine are about the same. I mean, this one's longer, but
that's the same. Like if you like the height when you hold them sideways, the height's about the same, but it's definitely got more of a 16:9 screen on my phone than the transmitter does.
And I do have the small phone. The guy kind of queried me. I was like, "Why are you getting the small phone?" Because I want the small phone.
Size don't matter.
Actually, it was about the same price. What I wanted is it fit in my pocket. The big one would be too big to fit in my pocket.
No, I just get bigger pants.
I don't know where to go with that.
Anyway.
Moving on, guys.
Well, I think that's about all I got. You guys got anything else you want to talk about, or are we going to just close this out?
I think I'm done. We can talk about maybe modifying vehicles for airplanes on the next episode, maybe.
There you go. Put it in your pocket and think about it.
Yep. I've been busy for 3 weeks doing mine. Finally done.
Good. Then by next time, you'll have 2 weeks of use with it, and you can see what tweaks you need to do, or if any.
Tell us what not to do.
Tell us how perfect it is if you have to.
Yeah, it's not nearly as complicated as your vehicle, Ron, but that's all right. So, teaser for next time.
Okay.
Yep. There we go.
Well, then until next time, everybody, thanks for listening. I'm Ron.
I'm Tom.
And I'm Dave.
Good night.
Good night.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the RC Plane Lab podcast. For topic suggestions, to ask questions, or to give any feedback, connect with us at rcplanelab.com or email us direct at either ron@rcplanelab.com or tom@rcplanelab.com. You can also text us or leave us a voicemail at 818-351-9846. Please subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast app. Until next time, may your landings be gentle.